हामीलाई त्यस्तो धेरै on the local context. Really? I'm interested in but he gave me the card, so I got it. Oh.
Please check it. You should be informed. You be.
I did not see. I did not see. Are you through? I'm so active.
Greatest pleasure to have our chief guest, Right Honorable Prime Minister Mr. K.P. Sharma Oli, in the dais. May I now invite our special guest, Honorable Vice Chairperson of the National Planning Commission, Dr. Yuvraj Khatiwada, to the stage. I would also like to invite our special guest, Her Excellency the U.S. Ambassador to Nepal, Ms. Alaina Teplitz, to the dais. I would also like to invite the CEO of the Investment Board of Nepal, Mr. Radesh Pant, to the dais. And finally, I would like to request the Chairperson of the Energy Development Council, Mr. Sujit Acharya, to the stage. Our Chief Guest, Right Honorable Prime Minister, Special Guest, Honorable Vice Chairperson, Special Guest, Your Excellency, Mr. Pant, Mr. Acharya, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the organizers, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Nepal Power Investment Summit 2016. This event, which includes a conference, exhibition, and a project investment seminar, aims to create a platform for sharing knowledge, showcasing projects, and expanding business contacts. The conference, with the theme Nepal, the Future Battery of South Asia, brings together key stakeholders from government agencies, state utility company, independent power producers, contractors, financiers, and other players from around the world to discuss about the accelerated development of sustainable hydropower and other renewable energy projects in Nepal. To begin our program today, I would now like to request our chief guest, the Right Honourable Prime Minister, to please light the lamp to inaugurate this conference. Thank you.
फुलका हामी एउटै माला नेपाली सार्वभौम भई फैलिएका मेची महाकाली सयौं थुङ्गा फुलका हामी एउटै माला नेपाली सार्वभौम भई फैलिएका मेची महाकाली प्रकृतिका कोटि कोटि सम्पदाको आचरा वीरहरूका रगतले स्वतन्त्र र अटल ज्ञान भूमि शान्ति भूमि तराई पहाड हिमाल अखण्ड यो प्यारो हाम्रो मातृभूमि नेपाल बहुजाति भाषा धर्म संस्कृति छन् विशाल अग्रगामी राष्ट्र हाम्रो जय जय
Thank you very much. I would now like to request the CEO.
Opportunity. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank all of you for coming to the inaugural Nepal Power Investment Summit. So we're going to get together for the next 2 days. And I would like to take the chance to give my special thanks to His Honorable for sparing your precious time, supporting us for this event. And also I would like to take the chance to thank Suji and the team of EDC for working with us days and nights to make this happen. And of course, all of our sponsors and participants and speakers. And we're going to have a good lineup of participants, speakers, and also topics in the next coming 2 days. So I hope every single one of them can have some very valuable take back home and for future success in the next big thing in Nepal. Thank you very much.
And I would also like to welcome Honorable Vice Chairperson of the National Planning Commission, Dr. Yuvraj Khatioda, for sparing his time in making this event more lustrous. Similarly, I would also like to welcome and thank Her Excellency, the Ambassador of the United States to Nepal, Madame Alaina Teplitz, for kindly sparing her time and also giving us a little bit of international validation towards this summit. Similarly, I would also like to welcome and thank the Chief Executive Officer of the Investment Board of Nepal, Mr. Radesh Pant, for helping us throughout this entire time, in terms of being one of the organizers from the government side for this event. And then I would also like to thank each and every one of you that have come here from all over the world, the media, and especially I also want to give one more thanks to the Ministry of Energy, which is also one of our co-organizers for this event. I'm just going to spend a few minutes to tell you a little bit about the Power Investment Summit. And before that, I want to tell you a little bit about Energy Development Council. This is the only umbrella organization of Nepal's energy sector. It encompasses the leading institutions of Nepal's energy sector from both the government and private sector, ranging from hydropower, solar, wind, financial institutions with large lending portfolios, energy funds, community-based electric users, and energy-based associations. Our key objectives are to ensure energy security for each and every Nepali citizen and complete energy independence for Nepal. So what I'm trying to say is that we want to make sure that there is no diesel, petrol, or cooking gas in Nepal ever. One of the ways to achieve these objectives is to promote investments in the energy sector, to propel the development of this sector. Therefore, today we are launching the first edition of Nepal Power Investment Summit. On behalf of EDC, I would like to welcome one and all of you to this event again. As a matter of fact, I would like to let all of you know Nepal's energy sector is the #1 destination in South Asia, where investments yield the highest returns. Besides offering the highest rates in sectors like hydropower and solar energy, Nepal also offers a large scale of investment possibilities as a resource potential is of a very substantial size. The fiscal incentives offered by Nepal when compared with other South Asian nations is again the most favorable for investors. And the amount of energy generated from any hydro or solar project in Nepal is again higher than the energy generated from similar projects elsewhere in South Asia. I am not trying to lay the customary red carpet for you, but just stating the facts. On the other hand, on the other end of the scale, the ease of doing business in Nepal is not very easy. Things may not work as optimally as you seek, and there may be various hurdles you face. This is the other side of the scale. But when you weigh both sides of the scale, the balance incrementally tips towards the advantageous side. You may have heard of the risks of investing or doing business in Nepal, but have you heard of the rewards? Have you heard that these so-called risks can be greatly mitigated without offsetting the attached rewards? As Nepal is an emerging market for renewable energy, we are looking only and only for emerging market investors, those who understand how far the returns outweigh the risks and are willing to take such risks in order to achieve such returns. For the first time in the history of Nepal, we have a Right Honorable Prime Minister who has laid a crystal clear vision for the energy sector. He has envisioned a country where electric vehicles replace ones based on imported fossil fuels. This will ensure the domestic production of electricity to power these electric vehicles, create local jobs, foster technology transfer into Nepal, boost domestic consumption, all pushing up the economic growth of the nation. It will also ensure Nepal has clean air, which is the right guaranteed to all citizens of Nepal under the Constitution of Nepal. And it will bring down the import of fossil fuels, which is the #1 scourge to our national treasury, continually draining it on a yearly basis. It is also the #1 threat to our national security, because being dependent on others for our energy development, for our energy requirement is highly dangerous. The recent budget announced by Right Honorable Prime Minister's government has addressed this by bringing down all taxes and duties on electric vehicles to 10%. He has also envisioned a country where we replace cooking gas, that is again imported, and causes the second largest dent in our national treasury on a yearly basis. And his vision to do this is entirely possible because we can and must end the era of cooking gas with electric induction stoves that must be powered by electricity generated from within Nepal. Similarly, Right Honorable Prime Minister has a vision of ending the power crisis in Nepal. And I can assure you that the power crisis in Nepal will end. There are many, many solutions. Various institutions working in this sector in Nepal have one of them being the Energy Development Council. Therefore, when I talk about all these issues, these are also opportunities for foreign investors like yourselves. Wherever there are problems, there are opportunities. Therefore, I hope through this Power Investment Summit, we can project to you some of the opportunities that Nepal has to offer, and we will try our best to attract all kinds of investment into the energy sector of Nepal. And finally, before I end, I would also like to say, Nepal Power Investment Summit, this is the first edition. We are going to take this overseas every year. We are going to go wherever the investors are, and we're going to tell them what's the situation in Nepal. So once again, I would like to welcome each and every one of you to Nepal, and hope you have a very, very pleasant stay and a great conference. Jai Nepal.
Thank you, Mr. Acharya. I would now like to request the CEO of the Investment Board of Nepal, Mr. Radesh Pant, for his remarks on Nepal's foreign investment policies and the new foreign investment regime. Mr. Pant.
Thank you. Right Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Vice Chair of the Planning Commission, Her Excellency, American Ambassador, Chairman of the EDC, distinguished guests, and all the delegates participating in the Nepal Power Investment Summit 2016. I'm pleased to be here and extend my warm welcome to all the participants in this event, particularly our guests from outside of Nepal. The theme of the meeting, Nepal, the future battery of South Asia, in itself speaks of vast potential and opportunities for investors, contractors, consulting engineering firms, and the entire value chain in the power sector in the region, but more specifically in Nepal. The timing of this summit could not have arrived at a more opportune moment. It comes on the heels of the government of Nepal's recent budget announcement for the upcoming fiscal year 2016 and 17, in which the government has laid out very ambitious agenda for Nepal, particularly in the energy sector. In terms of priority for the government, development of the energy sector is only second to post-earthquake reconstruction. In the last decade, since the end of the insurgency in 2006, Nepal has completed a successful political transition, culminating in the promulgation of the constitution, one that reflects the aspirations of a democratic and federal Nepal. It was a watershed moment in the history of Nepal. But looking forward, the next decade for Nepal will be one of economic transformation. We are indeed striving for an economic revolution, and I believe that the private sector, with possession of its managerial, financial, and technical prowess, is the best catalyst to move this agenda forward. Our government is committed to ensuring that our investors are provided with the best of climate that yields highest returns with minimal cost and bureaucratic delays. It is now time that we graduate our focus, we define our priorities, and put economic strategies and reform in the forefront. We are keen to work with you and invite you to explore opportunities in Nepal, invest in Nepal, and assure you that we are here to support and assist you in every way possible. It is important to recognize that in every challenge lies an opportunity that is yet to be explored, an opportunity that is yet to be unfolded, an opportunity that is yet to be tackled. And this conference is a way of expressing our commitment to exploring those opportunities. For example, over the past 2 decades, globalization and digital technology have created impressive networks that touch through every economic and social activity. Money, goods, data, and people now cross borders in volumes and speeds higher than ever. Since 1990, cross-border trades have grown 1.5 times faster than global GDP. GDP growth, information flows have increased exponentially. However, increasing interconnectedness and interdependency also invite volatility, and working together is the only way to minimize and eliminate such volatility. As a nation, we are optimistic and outward-looking and very much ready to take advantage of the global economic platform by strengthening our engagements with our partners. We have formulated policies and strategies to restore confidence among our investors, and that best serves their interest. We have recently taken several measures to make Nepal a promising investment destination for private investors. Establishment of the Investment Board by the Parliament through the Investment Board Act 2011 is a reflection of our serious commitment in this regard. The government recognizes public-private partnership as an important approach for development, and the Investment Board is an authoritative body that will make use of the PPP approach in bringing private investments into Nepal. Agreements we have in place, such as bilateral investment promotion and protection agreement and DTA, double taxation and avoidance agreement, with various nations to indicate our reform-focused policy initiative, and we look forward to such agreements with many more nations in the near future. We are in discussion of setting up an overarching investment umbrella act for investment, ensuring a more systematic synchronization of existing policies and regulations to facilitate investment. We believe that it is these and many such efforts to change the investment environment of the country that has moved us up in the World Bank's ease of doing business ranking. It is indeed a reflection that we are headed in the right direction. But this is only the beginning, and we will do our best to attain better index ranking in the days to come. I am delighted and optimistic by this renewed business confidence in our country. I welcome you to explore opportunities to invest in Nepal and assure you needed help from the government and reorientation of our policies to serve the best interests of our investors. As we have in the past, we will continue to embrace policy change suggestions by the private sector and that are certain to have long-term positive impact. But in the end, the difference will come from innovations by you, the private sector. History has shown that while policy reforms do contribute to positive economic growth, the product and process innovation is what actually leads to majority of such economic growth. Studies indicate that the coming decade will be the first in 200 years when emerging market countries contribute more growth than the developed ones, and this march towards prosperity will not be possible without investment in our infrastructure, particularly energy infrastructure. More than in any other sector, Nepal wishes to see investments in infrastructure, as investment in this sector has a domino effect on the aspects of economic activities and holds a key to complete economic transformation and inclusive growth of the country. Now, turning my attention to energy, I believe it is unacceptable that a nation that holds the promise of powering South Asia should be condemned to power cuts that is adversely affecting numerous aspects of our life. While it is true investment in the sector has been held back due to political instability, it is also true that there has been consistency in commitment towards the development of the sector, regardless of one's political persuasion. The recent pronouncements in the energy crisis and government's budget for next fiscal year gives a continuation of that commitment. As I said earlier, development of the energy sector is only second to the reconstruction efforts in terms of government of Nepal priority. We have set a target of 10,000 megawatts of installed capacity in the next 10 years, with 4,000 megawatt of storage projects financed innovatively by tapping into the domestic and government financial resources. The government has reaffirmed its commitments to ensure access to electricity to all and up the ante by ensuring ownership in these projects by the people as well. We're expecting to see some long-stalled projects like Pancheshwar, Karnali Tisapani, Upper Arun and Tamakoshi 3 to get a kickstart towards implementation. Additionally, the government has outlined its intentions to address other aspects of the value chain in the sector. Acceleration of transmission projects, enhancing energy efficiency by emphasizing smart grid, net metering and adoption of LED lights, commitment to diversify our generation base by incorporating renewable energy such as wind and solar, but most importantly, lend urgency to operationalizing certain aspects of sector reform that have already been initiated, like the formation of a power trading company and national grid company. But in many regards, the process of economic transformation that I talked of earlier is already underway, particularly in the energy sector, when one reflects on the achievements in the sector in the last 2 years. Nepal signed project development agreements, concession agreements, to generate 1,800 megawatts of electricity aimed at regional export markets. I'm happy to report that despite the natural and political challenges Nepal has faced in the last year, we are making good progress on achieving financial close of these projects. 2. Nepal and India have signed a power trade agreement opening up non-discriminatory access to power producers for import and export between the two nations. Both countries are working diligently on the details of operationalizing this agreement, and I expect some substantial pronouncements in this regard in the next 6 months. There also was a SARC framework agreement on energy cooperation on electricity, which paves the way for trade of energy at the regional level like other commodities. That this was the only agreement signed at the 18th SARC Summit 2014 underscores the importance placed by the region on energy cooperation. These were long-stalled agreements, and signing on the dotted lines was truly an achievement for not only Nepal and India, but for the region. These agreements collectively have created for the first time the possibility of opening the market for electricity generated in Nepal to not only India, but the entire South Asian region, which I hope will eventually result in the formation of a dynamic regional power market. I'm very optimistic about where things are headed and greatly encouraged by the commitment of the private sector. I believe that this event will greatly complement the government's effort in fostering the investment climate and taking our nation forward, and we again assure you of our utmost support and cooperation. We believe that Nepal's commitment to infrastructure growth is an attractive opportunity for you. To tap into this growth, we encourage you to work with us in identifying opportunities and developing appropriate entry strategies into Nepal. Once again, I would like to welcome you to explore, welcome you to invest, and look forward for a great partnership with each of you in the future. Nepal is open for business. Welcome to Nepal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pant. Our chief guest, the Right Honourable Prime Minister, has an urgent meeting in Parliament, and he has especially requested that he would like to speak right now and then has to leave for his meeting. So it is my greatest pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to request our chief guest, the Right Honourable Prime Minister, for his inaugural remarks.
Vice Chairman of the Planning Commission, Excellency Ambassador, Mr. Acharya and Mr. Pant, and all other dignitaries and investors from different countries, different parts of the world. First of all, I would like to welcome you all in Nepal and in this Energy Summit. It's my pleasure that I got opportunity to meet you and inaugurate this very, very important conference. I believe that this conference, this Power Energy Summit, will be like a milestone or a turning point in the history of energy development in Nepal. Your deliberations and your discussions and the conclusions you draw from the last of the conference will be very, very important and very, very much meaningful. And they will contribute a lot. I need not to speak more things, just so many things the previous speakers already have they mentioned different aspects and angles of the energy possibilities and situation in Nepal. After the promulgation of the Constitution from the Constituent Assembly last year, we have entered into a new phase of economic development. And energy sector is the most important sector for this. And I want to just assure you that as Mr. Acharya and Mr. Panta already explained about the situation in Nepal, that this is Nepal is a good and best investment destination and speed. Me and my government is very, very clear about the importance of energy sector and its development, and particularly renewable energy. We have, I didn't mention how many rivers we have, what kind of rivers, and how much potentiality we have, and about solar power also, how much possibility we have. And we have two huge markets in our south and north. Our neighbors are with huge population, and ourselves, we need modernization in all aspects of our social activities, economic development, and others. So, I think I would like to assure you, as Mr. Acharya said, that your investment will be secured here, and it will give very good return, and will protect and will create very favorable environment for investment. As you know that at 11 o'clock, after 1 hour, our parliament is going to take place, meeting is going to take place, and before that I have one meeting, and I have to settle some questions before the meeting starts, so I have to leave immediately. And so many things my good friends before me they told, and after me, the presidency and Mr. Vice Chairman of the Planning Commission, I thought they'll talk in details, and your discussion, I believe that this conference will be a conference of great success. I wish all the best. And your stay in Kathmandu will be very exciting, I believe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now, it is my pleasure to request Her Excellency, the U.S. Ambassador to Nepal, Ms. Alina Teplitz, for her special remarks.
Council for both organizing the conference and for the invitation to speak. Such an impressive audience, an impressive set of panelists and other speakers I think you'll be hearing over the next 2 days. And of course, you are here to address one of Nepal's most critical challenges, and I think its greatest opportunity, which is reliable power. I guess I'll be piling on to what some of the other speakers have said, but I want you to think a little bit about the future and what Nepal could look like in 5 to 10 years. I imagine a prosperous country that leverages its advantages in hydropower, geography, and niche industries to supply markets around the world and to employ millions of young Nepalis. There are foreign investors in this future setting up enterprises and Nepali entrepreneurs coming up with new ideas. This vision of a prosperous Nepal is possible. It's a vision where Nepal is competing and holding its own with the hottest economies around. And I think it is achievable if one of the critical factors contributing to its current economic challenges is addressed. And that, of course, is energy, the reason we're all here today. So I'll state what's known to us all. Nepal is today energy poor, and its prosperity really hinges on making it energy rich. I think we're all numbers people in this room. So just to put the situation in context, let me toss out a few numbers, and I'll gradually come back to them as I speak. 40,000 is my first number. 128, 8,000, 220, 7,000, 177, and finally 1.5 billion. So what do these numbers say about Nepal's energy deficit? Well, 40,000 is a number of hope. It's the estimated economically viable megawatts that, if installed, could do a lot to enhance global commerce and improve lives, not only in Nepal, but around the world. 128, on the other hand, is a less auspicious number. According to the US Energy Information Administration, Nepal ranks 128th in the world for electricity production. And if you look at energy consumption, Nepal fares poorly compared to its neighbors, with only 128 kilowatt hours per person per year, according to the World Bank. By comparison, India has 765 kilowatt hours per capita, Sri Lanka is at 536, and Thailand has nearly 2,500 kilowatts per capita. And I'm afraid the numbers get worse from there. With an estimated 8,000 diesel generators in the Kathmandu Valley, a World Bank study found that more than 220 tons of black carbon were emitted from these generators in 2012. This contributes significantly to local and regional air pollution and results in nearly 7,000 premature deaths. It's no surprise that the Yale University's Environmental Performance Index recently reported that Nepal is ranked 177th out of the 180 countries surveyed. The lack of reliable energy contributes to poor health and environmental degradation and impedes development. The power deficit causes businesses to suffer, jobs to go uncreated, household tasks like cooking and cleaning to become arduous, causes students to be challenged to complete homework, and makes hospitals and health clinics unable to offer reliable services. According to a study commissioned by the UK's Parliament, there is a direct relationship between the absence of adequate energy services and poverty indicators such as infant mortality, illiteracy, life expectancy, and total fertility rate. The impact of energy poverty is real and significant and drags all of us down. I'm sure I don't need to say much to convince you of the benefits that would come to Nepal and the region with increased electricity production. After all, that's why you're here. And you've been inspired, I'm sure, by the examples of countries like Thailand or Sri Lanka, Bhutan, and Laos. As they improved their power supply, there was a corresponding increase in economic growth. If Nepal has a reliable energy supply, this could happen here too. Manufacturing could return, boosting local employment and wages. If Nepal produces a surplus of power, it could export electricity and improve the trade deficit. If Nepal could successfully and sustainably develop even a fraction of its hydropower resources, I'm confident that the economic, environmental, and societal impacts would transform this economy and this country. What, therefore, is preventing Nepal from developing its hydropower potential? Nepal has been talking about developing its hydro sector for decades and only has 780 megawatts of installed capacity to show for it. This is only about half of the country's energy demand, and I think there are two main reasons why Nepal's energy potential is not being realized. First, the investment needs in the power sector are far too great to solely rely on donors or development banks. As Mr. Pant said earlier, development partners can and will play an important role, but the private sector is going to be very critical and is the only group that's going to be able to marshal the level of funding required to help Nepal ultimately develop its energy resources. According to an analysis by the Millennium Challenge Corporation, it will take $3 billion in investment per year for the next 15 years for the government of Nepal to implement its own power sector goals. And because Nepal has a long history of working with international development partners, it might be tempting to think that Nepal can rely on donors to fully develop its energy resources. This thinking is simply wrong. And Nepal is going to need to dramatically increase private investment, particularly from foreign companies possessing the considerable resources needed to develop a hydropower project. Second, the investment climate for these investors has to be welcoming. Representatives from American companies tell us that they look for factors such as political stability, straightforward tax policies, a simple and transparent process for company registration and profit repatriation, and an ability to easily procure visas for foreign staff. These are all areas in which Nepal could improve, and in doing so would send a powerful signal to foreign investors that Nepal wants their business. Earlier this year, a Norwegian company pulled out of a 650 megawatt hydropower project in Nepal after trying to develop the project for several years. Company officials cited an absence of necessary policies and regulatory framework and increased bureaucratic hurdles for foreign investments. Investment is a business decision, and Nepal is competing with countries both in the region and around the world for the private sector's attention. The departure of a foreign investor in the hydropower sector highlights the fact that Nepal needs to create an environment conducive to private sector investment through better policies and legislation. And the U.S. is doing its part to change that dynamic here. We have been working with the government of Nepal towards a Millennium Challenge Corporation Compact to improve the regulatory and transmission environment in the energy sector. We believe in Nepal, and I hope ultimately that you do too. Meeting South Asia's energy needs is one of the key development challenges of the 21st century. So let me come to the final number that I mentioned. Meeting these energy needs is critical to the economic future of almost 1.5 billion people. Nepal's energy needs are relatively modest by world standards. 1 or 2 large new hydropower projects would likely be sufficient to meet the country's demand for at least several years, if not longer. But Nepal is in a region that sorely needs more clean and renewable electricity. And Nepal is in the unique position to supply this electricity and can then reap the benefits of increasing exports, electricity in this case, as well as from creating closer economic ties throughout the region and globally, as you yourselves are evidence of. The large cross-border transmission line between Dalkebar and Muzaffarpur is a start. Nepal is currently importing electricity from India, but with more capacity in both the line and in power production on the Nepal side, up to 1,000 megawatts of power will be able to flow between India and Nepal. Developing Nepal's power sector will not be easy, but I'm pleased to help open the Nepal Power Investment Summit because the benefits of this task, increased economic output, less pollution, and more regional cooperation far outweigh the costs. And I challenge you to be the group that helps make Nepal's hydropower a reality. I look forward to hearing the outcomes of the conference and wish you the best of luck in your deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May I now request our special guest, Honorable Vice Chairperson of the National Planning Commission, Dr. Yuvraj Khatiwada, for his remarks.
Your Excellency, the Ambassador of USA to Nepal, Mr. Acharya, Mr. Panta, distinguished resource persons, investors, ladies and gentlemen. It's also my pleasure to be here this morning, and I would also like to welcome all the investors from all over the world on behalf of the National Planning Commission. Nepal is having a lot of agenda on development in the next year's budget, one of which is the kind of investor summit we are proposing. And the bigger investment summit is preceded by this hydropower summit, which is a good beginning, I suppose. So it complements to our overall mission to see that Nepal becomes a good investment destination. The previous speakers have shed light on several aspects of Nepal's hydropower potential, the kind of institutions and the systems we have been trying to put in place, and also the comparative advantages of putting resources in this country. I would just start with the kind of emphasis we have laid on energy security, which is just next to food and health security. We are putting a lot of efforts to see that Nepal has renewable energy, which is affordable, which is sustainable, and which transforms the whole economy and the society. Transformation in the sense that with sufficient power and with renewable power, of course, and clean energy, we will be able to transform our conventional, traditional agriculture. We will be able to transform our household behavior and also household activities. We can transform our industrial activities, and more to that, we can transform our transportation system from fossil fuel fed system to a modern energy electricity fed system, which is a critical component in all these efforts, because perhaps transportation is one area which takes the largest amount of energy. And if we are really working on substituting fossil fuels by renewable energy sources, we have to transform the whole transportation process, and it is where our focus is being laid. As we all know, Nepal is committed to achieve the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, and we want to be part of this process, and we are putting a lot of efforts on these modern and sustainable energy resources, mostly led by the hydropower. But having said that, I would like to shed light on some of the myths that we have in this country. The first myth is that hydropower is the only source of energy. It's the major source, but it is not the only source. So I have to clear that we have many other options where we can develop other sources of energy, which are equally good, equally clean energy, equally renewable energy, solar, wind, and other bioenergy-related electricity that we can produce. So this myth perhaps has to be discussed in this forum, and we'll be happy to see that there is a good mix of energy in our energy system, comprising of hydroelectricity, solar energy, wind energy, and other kind of energy sources that the country possesses. The second myth that we have in our country is that Nepal can do everything on its own, including the development of the whole potential hydropower, which is not the case. We can do something. We have our own resources. We can produce a few thousand megawatt worth of installed capacity of hydropower. But to make use of the highest potential that we have, we must bring in foreign investment. Our own capital could perhaps do 2,300 megawatt worth of electricity, not more than that. The existing capacity, I say. The technological capacity and the human resource capacity also follow our financial constraints. So we have to be very clear that we need to bring in foreign investment, technology, and oftentimes also the managerial capacity, the management capacity to manage big projects. We also need to have a proper capacity to assess the risk that might arise out of the disasters the country is facing and will have to face in future course of time. So these constraints we have to understand, and we are happy that we invite foreign investors with better capacity to manage the risk, with higher financial resources, and perhaps with the best technology they have developed over years. The third myth that our country often I face is in terms of the uses of electricity, the power. While we are so happy to sign our houses with imported electricity, we have never said that I don't use any imported electricity, but we feel that if we talk about exporting electricity, it is thought to be a sin. How can that be possible? It is a tradable commodity. We have to trade it. When you have a surplus, you have to trade it. There should be no confusion in it. No government or no country will just export electricity when it doesn't have even its minimum demand met by its own sources. That we all do ourselves. But when we are doing more than what we can absorb, there should be a potential to export. And it is where the government is putting a lot of efforts on cross-border transmission line, development of the grid company, power grid company, and many more things that in future courses, when we have more electricity, we should be able to export it, not only to neighboring countries, but also to South Asian countries as a whole. And that's why the theme of this conference, that the future battery of South Asia, is a very good topic, I should say. A battery which doesn't have any disposal problem, a battery which could be ever renewed. I think is environmentally so sound. So it's a good battery, of course. So thank you very much for choosing this topic also. Let me just put some of the highlights of the budget, which has so much emphasis on power promotion of electricity. The budget has said that the Karnali Chisapani, which is biggest hydropower project so far observed in Nepal, 10,000 megawatt plus. We want this project to be developed with the joint tripartite initiative of India, Nepal, and China as a gesture also of our relationship between our neighboring countries. We have many projects that we have proposed under joint venture. And when I say joint venture, there could be many other modalities also where the investors might like to come in. We have the wood model. We can have the EPC model. We can have the EPCF model. There will be so many models that we can work, and the special vehicles that other countries are using. We are happy also to introduce those kind of special vehicles also to develop our power projects. The budget also has announced to have a separate grid company which would facilitate the wheeling facilities. And we have paid a lot of attention to the upliftment and strengthening of the electricity system, basically the transmission and distribution system. The system upgradation will help us to see that generations are transmitted and distributed in a smoother way. So we have put a lot of budget on transmission and distribution system. We have also put resources on transmission highways, ranging from east to west and also ranging from north to south in the major power generating points. We are also putting our money on taking road to the areas where we have big power projects. Perhaps these road projects will make many projects accessible and also they will reduce the cost of the hydropower projects. Government is committed to take transmission lines to the generation points that private producers are developing. The Investment Board of Nepal has been facilitating many of the big projects in such a way that the obstructions at the project site are taken care of. A high-level committee, cabinet committee, in fact, headed by the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, in which I am also a member, we are very much engaged in addressing the problems that arise in the field in the implementation of the power projects. And we go on the monitoring of these projects and try to resolve the problems then and there. The law and also some other provisions in our hydropower development processes are being amended to see that there will be no local obstructions to the power generation and transmission processes taking place. I think the issue of EIA and IEA also are being simplified, and that would make our decisions and implementation a bit faster. Let me finally go to the fundamentals that the country possesses in terms of inviting foreign investors. I think we are a country with a very competitive tax regime. Our corporate tax rates, company tax rates are very competitive in South Asia. Over to that, we have also put subsidy to the hydropower projects. If you produce power in the next 7-8 years' time, you'll also get subsidy rather than putting your tax on your production. I think that window could be utilized by promptly taking actions on investment decisions. We do have a very small but getting very vibrant financial market. The banking system is liquid. They are having good fund, and also some of them could be used for long-term investment. That's a good gesture. The capital market is booming, and it can readily help you to raise equity from the capital market. And people's response to primary issue is very positive, and you can easily raise money from the capital market to meet your equity demands. The central bank and the banking system possesses a good amount of foreign currency reserves. I think the strongest in South Asia, where you can be assured of repatriation of foreign exchange with the sale proceeds of the power that you generate in the country, and I think that's the strength that I must mention. And the repatriation process are very simple, and that's fully assured. Perhaps the interest rate regime is also one of the lowest in Nepal compared to other countries in South Asia. So you can benefit from the low interest regime if you make early decisions. We are never sure of the financial market in long run, but if you are taking decision in the short run, perhaps you would be getting the cheapest money for the most desired investment in this country. If you are thinking of producing power in Nepal and exporting to India, I think the fixed exchange rate regime will give you a lot of the certainty and the kind of confidence that you can manage your risk in such a way that your profits are assured. And the government doesn't intend to change it for some time now. So in the long run future, I cannot assure it, but the government is very much defending the peg. That's one assurance that I can assure. The next 3 years plan, which we have just approved, will be heading towards a growth of more than 7% on an average, starting from 6.5% to closing to 8% in the next 3 years' time. And that growth would be, one, dependent on how we can proceed with the power generation, but that could also be a source of generating more power, because if you have higher growth, we'll have a higher demand for domestic consumption of energy. And we have worked out energy forecast model in which if we have a growth of say 7% or more, our energy demand in the next 15 years time would be more than 10,000 megawatt worth of installed capacity. And it could be even higher to 15,000 megawatt if we really can move to 9 or 10% of economic growth. And that's very much viable in the context that Nepal has now a very stable political regime, and the government's only agenda is development, and all government machinery is geared towards promoting investment, both at the public and the private sector, which of course could garner a growth of 7 or 8% or up to 9%, given the low base of production of the country and given the high potential that we have. So having said this, let me just conclude by thanking the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share some of my views and the government's views on at this moment. And I look forward to a very successful completion of this summit. And then I also look forward to your decisions and also very active engagement in Nepal's development. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. In the government of Nepal's recent budget speech, it was also announced that a general survey to ascertain Nepal's total hydropower potential will be carried out. To support this government commitment, the Energy Development Council has prepared a publication titled Inventory of the Rivers of Nepal. I will now request our special guest, the Honorable Chairperson of National Planning Commission, to please launch this publication. Thank you very much, sir, Your Excellency. This publication is currently being printed for public circulation, and if you're interested in acquiring a copy, please do inquire at the exhibition stall of the Energy Development Council for details. I would now like to invite our special guests and all our dignitaries to the exhibition stalls next door. For that, we will have a 10-minute intermission, after which we will continue our program. So please. Thank you.
We are a pure transformer. May I have one picture with you, sir?
Part of my plan. Half of the reason for coming to this
Yeah, so we are supplying protocols for generators. This is my car.
So that's 16 million Nepalis that think about the possibilities there. I'm here until June 2nd. Oh no, July 2nd. Beginning. No, I don't have. I have.
Not yet, sir. We are going to that. We are exploring step by step. Also the
क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ पूर्वाधारको सामान्य काम पनि भयो। त्यसैले पूर्वाधारको काम हुँदै गर्दा न्यायोचित ढङ्गबाट वितरण गर्ने काम भयो। त्यसैले कम्तीमा एउटा निर्वाचन क्षेत्रमा पूर्वाधारको लागि के रकम छुट्याइयोस्। हामीले पहिला भने 5 करोड छुट्याइयोस् भनेर म पनि त्यो भन्ने मध्ये हो। जतिखेर हामीले त्यो भन्यो त्यो बेलाको हाम्रो आशय के हो भने एउटा निर्वाचन क्षेत्रमा कम्तीमा पनि यति पूर्वाधार हुने कुरा बनाइयोस्। त्यो पूर्वाधार के बनाउने भन्ने कुरा छान्ने बेलामा सांसदलाई पनि संलग्न गराइयोस् भनेर मागेको। तर यो त कस्तो रूपमा आइयो भने अब एउटा निर्वाचित सांसद चाहिँ 3 करोडको बजेट भएको वा स्रोत साधन भएको एउटा अड्डाको हाकिम जस्तो भयो। 10 खरबको बजेट निर्माण गर्ने संसदको सदस्य भएर त्यसमा भूमिका निर्वाह गर्नुपर्ने ठाउँबाट त्यसलाई खुम्च्याएर लिएर आएर हामीले 3 करोडको अड्डाको हाकिम बनाइदिएको छ। यो पनि कतिपय सांसद विकास कोष जस्तै हो। त्यसैले यो सदुपयोग दुरुपयोगको कुरा होइन। यो पद्धतिले सांसदले जे भूमिका निर्वाह गर्नुपर्ने हो, हामी त खास गरी हामी त लेजिस्लेटिभ हो, हाम्रो त्यहाँ भूमिका छ। त्यो भूमिका हामीले निर्वाह गर्ने कुरा पनि हामी चुक्ने भयौँ। र कार्यकारिणीमाथि जुन हामीले निगरानी राख्न सक्नुपर्ने हो, कतिपय ठाउँमा जवाफदेही बनाउनु पर्ने हो, हामीलाई पनि उसले कार्यकारिणी जस्तै बनाइदियो। विभिन्न अड्डा छ, मन्त्रालयका विभिन्न अड्डाहरू छ, हामी पनि एउटा अड्डा भयो, सांसद अड्डा जस्तो। यसले हामीलाई सही बाटोमा निष्कर्षमा लिएर जाँदैन। त्यस कारणले गर्दा यसलाई पनि बन्द गर्नुपर्छ। बरु एउटा निर्वाचन क्षेत्रमा न्यूनतम 5 करोड ठाउँबाट 10 करोडको पूर्वाधार बन्ने कुराको सुनिश्चितताको लागि पद्धति सूत्र बनाउँ, त्यो तरिकाबाट जानु हुन्छ।
बजेटमा चाहिँ पूजालाई एकदम प्राथमिकता दिएर समेटेको छ, तर कार्यान्वयनमा कतिको चुनौती हुन्छ यहाँ? बुढी गण्डकीको कुरा छ,
मैले यो निराशाको कुरा गर्न खोजेको होइन। जस्तो म बुढी गण्डकीको एउटा उदाहरण लिएर बुढी गण्डकीको सन्दर्भमा समस्या चाहिँ स्रोत र साधनको मात्र होइन। स्रोत र साधनको समस्या हो भनेर भन्ने हो भने त यो वर्ष बुढी गण्डकीको सरकारले भनेको काम गर्न हामीलाई करिब 40 अरब रुपियाँ पनि चाहिन्छ। तपाईँ यो वर्ष हामीले तोकेको पैसा सबै प्राप्त गऱ्यो भने पाउने पैसा भनेको अधिकतम 10 अरब रुपियाँ। स्रोतको प्रब्लम हिजो पनि आज पनि छ। मुख्य कुरा भनेको एउटा बुढी गण्डकी जस्तो आयोजना कसरी गर्ने, कुन मोडालिटीमा गर्ने, 2 खरब 50 अरब रुपियाँ पैसा ल्याउने फाइनेन्सको मोडालिटी के, यो सबै कुराहरूको सन्दर्भमा हामीले केही पनि टुङ्गो नलगाइकन जे गर्नुपर्ने त केही पनि नगरिकन यो वर्ष चाहिँ हामीले बुढी गण्डकी बनाउनेछौँ भन्ने कुरा मैले त गएको 7 वर्षदेखि सुनिरहेको छु। प्रत्येक वर्ष यस्तै एक्साइटमेन्ट हुन्छ आफ्नो बजेट, तर त्यो रहँदैन। हामीले जे गर्नुपर्ने हो त्यो गरेनौँ भने हामीले खोजेको परिणाम आउँदैन। म अहिले नै एकदम निराशको कुरा गर्न चाहन्छु। एनर्जीको सेक्टरमा सरकारले उच्चतम प्राथमिकता दिन्छु भनेर भनेको छ। मेरो सबभन्दा बढी ध्यान कृषि जलस्रोत समितिको सभापतिको रूपमा केमा रहन्छ अब भने सरकारले बनाएको कार्ययोजना जुन छ यो 10 वर्षभित्रमा 10,000 मेगावाट जल उत्पादन गर्छु भन्ने, त्यसका निम्ति आफैले समय तालिका सहितको एउटा प्लान अफ एक्सन बनाएको छ, कार्ययोजना बनाएको छ। त्यो कार्ययोजनामा भनेको काम भनेको समयभित्र सक्छ कि सक्दैन। हामीले केवल हाम्रो फोकस त्यसमा मात्र हुन्छ। अब त्योभन्दा बाहिर कसले के बोल्नुभयो, कहाँ के कुरा भन्यो भन्नेतिर हामी जाँदै जाँदैनौँ। भनेको काम समयभित्र सक्न सरकारलाई बाध्य बनाउने सन्दर्भ हाम्रो भइरहेको छ।
मूल्य वृद्धिको कुरा चाहिँ सामाजिक छ, तल वृद्धि र संसार विकासको सुरक्षण बढाइयो। यसले मूल्य वृद्धिमा कतिको असर गर्छ? यसले सर्वसाधारणलाई अप्ठ्यारो पार्दैन?
त्यसो हेर्नुहोस्, पहिलो कुरा हामीहरूको पहिल्यैदेखिकै च्यालेन्ज के थियो भने हाम्रो चालु खर्च पुँजीगत खर्चभन्दा त्यसै पनि बढी, त्यसमाथि पुँजीगत खर्च तोकेको जति पनि खर्च गर्न नसक्ने यो हाम्रो अवस्था छँदै थियो। त्यो पुँजीगत खर्च कसरी बढाउने, के गर्यो भने बढ्छ भन्नेतर्फ हाम्रो कम ध्यान गऱ्यो। हामीले चालु खर्च एकदमै धेरै बढायौँ। चालु खर्च भनेको सबैका सबै खर्च हुन्छ। अब राजस्वको जुन महत्त्वकांक्षी लक्ष्य लिएको छ त्यो लक्ष्य भेट्न सक्ने कुरा एकदमै गाह्रो देखिन्छ, असम्भव जस्तो देखिन्छ। त्यो अलिकति तलमाथि पर्न साथै हामीले आन्तरिक ऋणबाट उठाएको पैसाले हामीले के गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ भने हाम्रो चालु खर्च पुरा गर्नुपर्छ। तपाईँ आफै भन्नुहोस्, हामीले आफ्नो विकास निर्माणको काम पनि अवरुद्ध भएको छ, राजस्वको लक्ष्य भेटिएन। अनि आन्तरिक बजारबाट ऋण उठाएर चालु खर्च पुरा गर्नुपर्ने भने त्यसले हाम्रो झन् त्यसले महँगीलाई कहाँ पुग्छ, मूल्य वृद्धिलाई कहाँ पुग्छ। त्यसमाथि सरकारको ध्यान कतातिर पटक्कै गएको देखिन्न। फेरि बुढी गण्डकीको उदाहरण फर्क्यौँ। हामीले नै समितिबाट यति धेरै तरिकाहरू सरकारको अगाडि सिफारिस गरेका थियौँ कि पेट्रोलको त्यसै पनि अहिले हामी कर लगाउँछौँ, त्यसमा 1 रुपियाँ पनि नथपिकन, त्यो एकदम पुरातन एउटा तरिका हो, संसारको थुप्रै देशमा त्यो अभ्यास। तर हामी सामान्य अवस्थामा भएको 5 रुपियाँ कि 15 रुपियाँ लगाउँछौँ। के गर्दाखेरि हाम्रो चेक हुन्छ भनेर हेर्नुपर्ने ठाउँमा हामीले अतिरिक्त काम पनि त्यहाँ थपेको छ। जबकि यो चाहिँ अलिकति तरिका हो, बुढी गण्डकी बनाउनको लागि 20 अरब 15 अरब बनाउनको लागि हजारौँ तरिकाहरू छ। त्यसरी के देखियो भने बजेट निर्माण गर्दाखेरि सामाजिक सुरक्षाको कतिपय आवश्यकताहरू छन् हामीलाई, तर ध्यान चाहिँ त्यो खास गरिकन त्यो इकोनोमिक सेन्स हुन्छ नि, मैले कति खर्च गर्न सक्छु, मेरो आम्दानी कति छ, आजको दिनमा मैले खर्च गर्दा स्मार्ट चोइस के हुन्छ पटक्कै ध्यान। मसँग असीमित स्रोत छ, जेमा खर्च गरे पनि हुन्छ। योभन्दा अगाडिका सबै मूर्खहरू हुन्, तिनले खर्च गर्न जान्दैन थिए, मलाई चाहिँ खर्च गर्न आउँछ भन्ने खालको जुन सोच देख्यो यसले ठुलो डिजास्टरतर्फ नेपाललाई लिएर जान सक्छ। हामी समयमै सचेत भयौँ।
यो पनि दक्षिण एसियामा सबैभन्दा हाइएस्ट चाहिँ नेपालमै छ र हाम्रो अहिलेसम्म नेपालको ऊर्जाको जुन बहस र वक्तव्य भइरहेछ त्यसमा के छ भने यो चाहिँ नेपालका डोनरहरू एनजिओहरू उहाँहरूले यसलाई ड्राइभ गरेको हुनाले चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ अब त्यसलाई चेन्ज गर्नुपर्छ। किन भन्दाखेरि सत्य कुरो र तथ्य कुरो के भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ नेपालै हो दक्षिण एसियामा सबैभन्दा आकर्षित देश जहाँ सौर्य ऊर्जा, जलविद्युत, बिजुलीका भेहिकलहरू, बिजुलीका गाडीहरू तपाईँले यहीँ नेपालमा बनाउनु भयो भने अहिले अब इन्डियामा भयो, चाइनामा भयो, हामीले चाहिँ एकदमै ठुलो मार्केट लिन सक्नेछौँ। र यो नेपाल पावर इन्भेस्टमेन्ट समिट चाहिँ हाम्रो पहिलो प्रयास हो र हामीले चाहिँ यसलाई अब एकदमै हरेक वर्ष विदेशमै गएर, जस्तै अब जहाँ जहाँ लगानीकर्ता हुनुहुन्छ उहाँ गएर चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ लगानीकर्ताहरूलाई नेपालको बारेमा भन्ने, नेपालमा स्वागत मात्रै गर्ने होइन। उहाँलाई कोही पनि मान्छे नेपालमा स्वागत मात्रै गरेर आउनुहोस् नेपाल सुन्दर देश भनेर मात्रै आउँदैन। मैले त्यहाँ पैसा लगाउनु पऱ्यो भने मेरो लगानीको प्रतिफल के हो, मेरो लगानी सुरक्षित हुने हुँदैन। यी कुराहरू चाहिँ हामीले उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ एकदमै क्लियरली अस्योर गराउने हाम्रो एउटा उद्देश्य हो। र दोस्रो कुरो चाहिँ त्यो मात्र होइन, नेपालमा कुन कुन प्रोजेक्ट्सहरू छन्, नेपाल सरकारका हुन सक्छन्, निजी क्षेत्रका हुन सक्छन्, सहकारीका हुन सक्छन्, यो ऊर्जा क्षेत्रमा होइन, ती आयोजनाहरूको चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ रिपोर्टै बनाएर उहाँहरू अगाडि प्रस्तुत गरेर र र त्यहाँका लगानीकर्ताहरूलाई लगानी गर्न मन छ भने ती जुन डेभलपरहरू हुन्छन् उहाँहरूसँग मिटिङ गराइदिएर हामी चाहिँ बेसिकली डिलहरू क्लोज गराउन हाम्रो काउन्सिलले हेल्प गर्छ र अर्को कुरोमा के भन्न चाहन्छु भन्दाखेरि के छ त नेपालको यो लगानीमा कति गर्न सकिन्छ 2-3वटा सानो उदाहरण यो हाम्रो समिटमा पेश हुन्छ। नम्बर 1 भनेको सौर्य ऊर्जामा हाम्रो अहिले काठमाडौँमै लगभग $5 बिलियन त्यो म नेपालमा कति भन्दिनँ $5 बिलियन को पोटेन्सियल नेपालमा काठमाडौँमा छ। जलविद्युतको तपाईँले हामीले कुरा गरेर पनि अहिले लगभग आजका आयोजना 10,000 मेगावाट भन्दाखेरि तपाईँको 10 देखि 15 बिलियन को लगानी गर्ने ठाउँ छ। विद्युतीय गाडीहरू अहिले भर्खर नेपाल सरकारको बजेटमा जुन अहिले उद्घोषणा भएको छ विद्युतीय गाडीहरूको आजको ट्याक्स कम्प्लिट ट्याक्स 10%मा जान्छ। यसको अर्थ के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि अब नेपालमा तपाईँको बिजुलीका गाडीहरू पेट्रोलका गाडी डिजलका गाडीहरूको चाहिँ अब अहिले सेल्सहरू भइरहेछ त्यो सट्टै घट्छ। अब नेपालीहरू चाहिँ अब विद्युतीय गाडी चलाउनु जान्छ। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि नेपाल चाहिँ अब संसारलाई के भन्दैछ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ हाम्रो ऊर्जा क्षेत्र अब व्यापार गर्न बिजनेस गर्न लगानी गर्न चाहिँ हामी तयार छौँ रेडी छौँ।
价格相对还比较低，我们这个人经常都是用来赶虫嘴啊，然后是拿鱼货呀，还找到湖南的场景啊，包括非常都是他们竞争，但我们都能达标。一个是我们本身价格比较低，同时呢就是我们整个配置啊，感觉是主要是全地全能好，感觉很满意。所以我们每次拿这个别人小价格，银行都没拿出到，就拿没拿起。
Like an old circuit breaker. We have vacuum bottles and the switch is
You talk to more investors.
They need to do, you know, hundreds of thousands of operations without any wear. Okay.